Right, I've just been informed that we're going live now. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this licensing hearing for Surrey Street. I'm Francis Middle with Democratic Services. I'll be clerking this meeting. This is a application for a new premises license, Surrey Street, number 1 Surrey Street in Brighton, Bravo November 1, 3 Papa Alpha. Could I just ask, before we continue, the councillors amongst themselves to elect a chair for this hearing, please?
Nominate Councillor Hewitt.
And Councillor Nan, do you have a nomination? I'm afraid I can't seem to hear you, Councillor Nan. I can see that you've come off mute, but...
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay. I'd like to second Councillor Sykes' nomination.
Oh, there we are. Councillor Hewitt, you're the chair for this hearing.
Thanks, everyone. Good morning. So we're just going to begin with some procedural business before we move into the main body of the agenda. So first of all, amongst the councillors, are there any substitutes today?
No.
No. And are there any declarations of interest?
No.
I haven't either. Okay, there are no non-public items on the agenda today, so we will not be excluding the press or the public for any item today, and we are being webcast, so all is in open session. This is an application for a new premises licence for Surrey Street, 1 Surrey Street, Brighton, BN1 3PA. Before we begin, we'll ask everyone to introduce themselves. And as we're meeting online, if you could have your microphone off when you're not speaking, please, but have your mic on and camera on when you are. So to begin with, I'm Councillor John Hewitt, Councillor for Hankton and Noel Ward, and a member of the Licensing Committee. Ollie, would you like to go next?
Yep. Hi, Councillor Ollie Sykes, Brunswick and Adelaide Board, member of Licensing Committee.
Thanks, and Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul Nan, a member for Wish and on the Licensing Committee.
Thanks, Fair. Emily.
Good morning, everyone. Emily Fountain, Licensing Officer, presenting the application.
Thanks, Fair. Laventa.
I am not Laventa.
Yeah, no, you're not.
I'm Sarah Cornell. Apologies, I've left my laptop at home, so I'm in the office and had to borrow my colleagues to log on. So apologies, I'm Sarah Cornell and I've made a representation on behalf of the Licensing Authority.
Lovely, I thank you. Nathan.
Yeah, hi, I'm Nathan Moseby, obviously one of the applicants, as well as Luke, who you'll see on the call too.
Oh, lovely. Oh, thanks. And Luke, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Luke Williams and I am one of the applicants.
Yeah, thanks. There. James?
Morning, everyone. Yes, I'm James Harley. I'm one of the residents who lives on North Gardens.
Thank you. And are you speaking for against the application?
For.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome. If I missed Rebecca.
Yeah, good morning. Rebecca Siddell, legal advisor to the panel.
Thanks there. And Sarah.
Good morning. Sarah Booker-Lewis, local democracy reporter for Brighton and Hove, representing the majority of news media in the city.
Brilliant. Thanks everyone. And obviously someone else is just joining us as well, so we'll let them join. Oh,
yeah.
Hello,
Benjamin Pierce has just joined us.
Thanks there, Frankie. Hi, Benjamin. We're just doing introductions at the moment. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
I'm afraid it doesn't seem that we can hear you, Benjamin. Sorry.
Is that better?
Oh, hello. Yes, yeah. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, there. Yeah. I'm Benjamin Pierce. I'm a local resident. I own our house on 15 Guildford Street. So yeah, just up
Are you on the call today in support of the application?
Absolutely, yes.
That's fair. Welcome. Okay, so well, now everyone is here, I'm going to hand over to Emily as the licensing officer to introduce the application.
Thank you, Chair. This is an application for a new premises licence for 1 Surrey Street, Brighton, for the retail sale of alcohol on and off the premises Sunday to Thursday, midday to 2200, and Friday and Saturday, 12 to 2300, and for live and recorded music Monday to Thursday, 5 to 2200, and Friday and Saturday, midday to 2300, and Sunday, 12 to 2200. The application proposes that the intention of the premises is to be a casual and accessible deli, restaurant, wine bar that focuses on empowering local suppliers and producers. Where possible, an off-licence deli wall and bottle fridges in the venue would provide takeaway options of the local suppliers and producers that feature throughout the offering. I'll leave it to the applicant to explain the proposed application in more detail. The main body of the committee report has been amended as it referred to the premises as being in the special stress area, not the cumulative impact area. The amended report can be found in the addendum of today's papers. Section 18, the operating schedule of the application, is detailed at Appendix A, and the proposed plan of the premises can be found in Appendix B. 2 opposing and 8 supporting representations were received. They were received from the licensing authority and local residents. Full details of the representation are found in Appendix D. The applicant and panel have also been informed that the local authority representation referred to the special stress area as well, and that these references should be replaced with the cumulative impact zone. Agreements and conditions were reached between the applicant and Environmental Protection and Sussex Police, and these can be found in Appendix C. A map detailing the location of the premises can be found in Appendix D. The premises is located within the cumulative impact area, which is covered by the Special Policy for Cumulative Impact. The special policy was introduced after it was determined that the concentration of licensed premises in an area of the city centre is causing problems of crime and disorder and public nuisance, and therefore an approach to cumulative impact is necessary. As part of its statement of licensing policy, the special policy for cumulative impact states that applications for new licences will be refused following relevant representations. This presumption of refusal can be rebutted by the applicant if they can show that their application will have no negative cumulative impact on the licensing objectives. The Council's statement of licensing policy goes on to say that this special policy is not absolute. Upon receipt of a relevant representation, the licensing authority will always consider the circumstances of each case and whether there are exceptional circumstances to justify departing from its special policy. If an application is unlikely to add to the cumulative impact of the area, it may be granted. It's up to the applicant to demonstrate exceptional circumstances and satisfy the panel that they won't impact negatively on the cumulative impact zone. The impacts can be expected to be different for different premises and with different styles and characteristics. For example, while a large nightclub or high-capacity public house might add to problems of cumulative impact, a small restaurant, theatre or live music venue where alcohol is not the primary activity may be considered exceptional circumstances. The panel will also be aware of the matrix approach to licensing decisions found within the Statement of Licensing Policy from page 8 of the addendum. This includes a table with provisions for a terminal hour for licensed activities for all classes of licensed premises in a particular area, recognising the diverse operations and different risks presented by those premises. Can I remind the panel that each application is still considered on its own merits and there is discretion to depart from the policy where justified. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Emily. So now is an opportunity for any questions to Emily, starting with the panel members. And any questions?
No questions, thanks.
Fair. Okay, Sarah, Cornell, any questions from you?
No, thank you.
Thanks. Either of the residents, Benjamin or James, have you got any questions you'd like to ask Emily at this stage?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Yeah, no, nothing for me.
Thank you. And finally, the applicants, Nathan or Luke, have you got any questions at this stage?
Nothing from me.
Okay.
Nothing from me either.
Thank you then. Okay, so we'll now move on to Sarah Cornell to make her representation on behalf of the licensing authority.
Thank you. So good morning. I make this representation on behalf of the council's licensing team in their capacity as a responsible authority in relation to the application for a new premises licence. A copy of this representation can be seen from page 41 of the agenda. And as we have heard, the application is for alcohol for consumption on and off the premises Monday to Saturday 12 till 11 and Sunday 12 till 10. This has since been reduced after an agreement was reached with Sussex Police to a terminal hour of 10 p.m. on Sunday to Thursday. So this representation is made as the licensing team have concerns that the application could have a negative impact on the licensing objectives of the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance, and is against our statement of licensing policy. The premises is situated in our cumulative impact area, which has already been explained by the licensing officer presenting the case. The licensing team act as guardians of the council's statement of licensing policy, and I make this representation on behalf of the licensing authority, as I believe the application made is contrary to our policy, and therefore invite the panel to carefully consider the application and decide if it constitutes exceptional circumstances to depart from our policy. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much, Sarah. So any questions from the panel members to Sarah?
Nope.
No, thanks, Chair.
So, no, thanks, Eva. Okay, the residents, have either of you, James or Benjamin, got any questions to ask of Sarah?
No, all good for now, thank you.
Nope.
Yeah, thanks there. And finally, the applicants, either Nathan or Luke.
No, good from me too.
Okay.
All good from me as well.
Yeah, thanks there. Okay, so that's so we'll move on. So we haven't got the resident who's put in an objection against. So it's now the opportunity for the two residents who are supporting the application, to welcome to put forward a representation. For either James or Benjamin, either of you would like to go first, or if one just wants to speak on behalf of you both, whatever suits.
Benjamin, do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
No, absolutely fine. Yeah, I can go first. Sorry, I wasn't expecting to speak. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I moved to Brighton about 5 or 6 years ago, and we lived up on Seven Dials previously, and then we've moved down to the West Hill area. And what we loved about Seven Dials is this community feel, and I feel like having something like what's being put forward will kind of expand on that and create a really nice community feel to an area that I feel is currently lacking that. I also think that it will make the area safer. Obviously the kind of audience that I feel would be attracted to this premises would kind of deter any sort of antisocial behaviour, you know, bringing in sort of families and a very kind of more chill vibe. You know, this isn't a nightclub or you know, a late night drinking sort of place where things are going to get out of hand. Like it's a really nice community feel from what I understand of it. And like I say, I think it's something that I'm personally missing from the area, and I would really enjoy something like that opening local to us.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. James, have you got anything you'd like to add at all? Or?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Benjamin just said. But in addition, so I've sort of spoken, and I'm aware of the objections made for a couple of people on my street, and I do appreciate their point. There are, you know, certain issues on the street, but I personally wouldn't say they are unexpected given the location, the fact we are in a vibrant city. What I do think is this application is only going to actually improve things by having sort of natural surveillance on that corner in that area, but also the fact that the issues we're having, I believe, are sort of fueled off cheap alcohol, sort of bought from, you know, just probably Tesco or something like that. It's not the same person who is going to a deli, wine bar, small plates restaurant, and then taking that alcohol and then drinking it on the street and making a nuisance, or getting out of hand and drinking too much and then basically creating antisocial behavior. So I think it's actually going to improve things by having something like this here. I think it's a brilliant thing to have. I think a deli is something we used to have, and that's something that would be really good to have back in that spot. And again, a small plates restaurant, there's, I think the closest one is probably Voya. But again, this one, it's something that's would be a really good addition to that corner. Again, a wine bar, we don't have any wine bars around, so again, that's another good addition. And I think it would just be a really good community space. Certainly quite a few people I've spoken to on the street and streets beyond would use.
Oh, brilliant. I thank you, James and Benjamin. So now's the opportunity for everyone to ask questions of your representations, starting with the panel, and see, Ollie, you've got your hand up. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks for those reps. That's very helpful. I'm just wondering how important within the application the off-sales element is, so the proposed off sales of alcohol and deli products through sort of automated booths. How important is that to the offer as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, so either or Benjamin or James, if you'd like to respond.
Well, from a resident perspective, I think it's very important. And personally, I think actually I think the whole application is a very low risk to having a detrimental impact on the cumulative impact zone. But in particular, the off sales element is the lowest, because from what I understand, they're going to be premium products that carry, you know, a premium price, and that is going to discourage people taking those away and then causing unruly behaviour within the area. They're going to be taken away and consumed sort of at home, at dinner parties, things like that. So, I mean, personally, I think it'd be good, especially from the wine bar, because it means I have to walk less far to get a really good, you know, bottle of wine, for example. So I think it is very important, especially the off sales of food as well. Is very important for me, I'd say.
Well, thanks, Fair.
John,
yeah,
Thank you.
I agree, James. Absolutely. Sorry, go on.
Do you mind if I just say something quickly? The previous comment, who I believe was from Ollie, nothing will be from like an automated booth in terms of takeaway. It will still have to be purchased like at a counter by a member of staff. I think that's worth correcting.
Okay, apologies. Okay,
no, that's okay, because I just think, yeah, the idea of an automated booth that would be unpoliced would be very different to what it actually will be. So I thought it was worth timing in.
Thank you. Yeah, noted that. Thanks. Benjamin, would you like to comment?
Yeah, no, I agree with James. Absolutely. And you know, it's always nice to be able to kind of enjoy, you know, what these guys are going to be offering, but in, you know, the comfort of my own home as well, you know. And recently, obviously, there's you know, we used to go to Seven Cellars up on Seven Dials, which was a lovely wine shop, but obviously, you know, they're going through their own troubles at the moment, so it would be lovely to have, you know, something along those lines, kind of even closer to us. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks, Fair. Have you got any further questions, Ollie? Thanks. I'll move to Paul.
Just checking, John, can you hear my mic properly?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you very much. Both people mentioned that it'll be a community space. It's not a philanthropic organisation that's opening this, so I assume it won't be a formal community space. I just was wondering what they meant by it'll be a great community space, what they imagine will happen there.
So what I mean is it's not so much a tourist trap. It's more a place that is going to be used by the community, especially sort of during the week. A place where, you know, you can go and chat to local friends and people on the street and stuff, but not necessarily in your own house.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thanks there. So if there's no further questions from panel members, Sarah, have you got any questions you'd like to ask of the residents?
No, thank you.
Yeah, thanks there. And finally, the applicants, either Luke or Nathan, have you got any questions you'd like to ask?
No, not from me.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, brilliant.
Not me either.
Thanks there. So so whilst we've got you here, it's there now your opportunity to make your representation for your application. Again, either or both of you can speak.
Yeah, we'll probably share it if you don't mind. I'm more than happy to start. I guess touching on one of the comments that came, and I know there's the off-license element is a bit of a key issue here, and I know from having the consultation with the police about the off-license and kind of why that can be issues. And I think I respected both James and Ben's comments, because the off-license will allow us to have the ability to sell a few premium products like bottles of wine to people who have either been in to have a bit of food and drink and really liked a new wine that we're trying. And it gives them the opportunity to take it home, whether it's to just enjoy at home or to take home as a gift. We won't advertise being an off-license. It's not our aim. It's not it. Both in Luke and I's experiences running hospitality venues, like we've got, I think, 4 in the city. So it's not about being an off-license. It's more about just having that slightly additional ability to sell a few more bottles of wine for people that are either, you know, I guess heading home from the station, or they've been in and they just want to enjoy a bottle of wine at home. Hospitality's changed quite a lot over, you know, recent years, and I would love to say that we don't need an off license and everyone will just always come and enjoy, you know, what our offering is in venue. But I think sadly that shifted slightly. I think whether that's disposable income or, you know, people trying to be a bit more health conscious, people's you know, not everyone visits hospitality venues anywhere near as much as they used to. I think that's kind of widely documented. So the idea of us, the importance, I guess, for us of having that off license isn't to just churn out cheap drinks, as everyone said. It's more the restrictions we wrote in with Sussex Police would be that the only beers that could be sold on off license would be from local suppliers. So, you know, again, kind of helping to promote and produce some of them. And then with the wine, the only bottles that we'd sell via off license would be bottles of wine that were sold via the glass inside, in the idea that if, you know, someone came in with friends and had a couple of glasses of a wine that we sold by the glass and then really liked it, they could then, you know, purchase an additional bottle to take home. I can't see it being a massive revenue driver, but how we've tried to look at it is if once a week you sell 10 additional bottles that people take home, that might equate to an extra few £100 a week, which spread across a year could make a monumental impact into, one, making the business more viable, but two, just giving us a bit more money to then reinvest into the space, whether that's employment, whether that's you know, kind of like improvements to the offering. So I appreciate the off license is a slightly contentious point, but I hope we can kind of prove that our aim isn't to use it in the same way that a full-on off license is, and that's kind of why we wrote those restrictions in with the police, to really hone in that which in turn would protect that in the future. If for whatever reason we left the premises and someone came in, it prevents the site ever being an off license because of those restrictions. So yes, I do really hope we make that clear. And as I said, it gives us a bit more flexibility there. And then I guess my next point, before I hand over to Luke, my next point would be about, I guess the next contentious point is those additional hours to 11 o'clock on a Friday and Saturday. I think midweek, the 10 o'clock curfew is fine. I think most people midweek are happy to kind of call it by then, especially if they've got work the next day. I think on a Friday and Saturday, some of the expectation for customers especially is that time could be a little bit later. They might have had a long day at work. They might be commuting back from London, so their day starts a bit later. So just giving us that additional hour to trade until 11 o'clock, one, allows a better customer experience, I would say, but two, again, just allows the opportunity to be a bit more viable as the business, to just give us that additional hour of trading, which I think, I think for a Friday and Saturday is important. Midweek, as I said, not so much, but I think for us, having it on that Friday and Saturday is great. And as I said, even just from a customer impact, I also think so. My partner lives in London and often works in London and often won't get back to Brighton until 7:30, sometimes 8 o'clock. So our evening might not start till 8:30. So what I'm cautious of and what I wouldn't want to happen is, if you've got people like James or Benjamin who live nearby and maybe in a similar position, whose friend or partner doesn't get back to Brighton until 8:30. I wouldn't want them to have a barrier to entry to not want to visit us just because they're like, oh, we might only have an hour and a half to enjoy in this space. So then in turn have to head further into town, perhaps to not a local independent, perhaps to a chain or anything like that, just because it's got longer opening hours. And obviously for me, biasly, you don't want that to happen. I also think for Brighton and kind of what we stand for, which is, is empowering independence, for having that slight barrier to entry that would prevent people like maybe James or Ben even considering coming because they don't want their evening to be too cut short, feels like a slight unnecessary barrier, which I don't think is what, as a city, we kind of stand for. I appreciate that, going into later in the evening can be a concern. And obviously, if we were applying to midnight or onwards, I really understand that could cause huge issues for public nuisance. But I think that just additional hour to 11 o'clock allows us to kind of self-police until then. We're experienced in running venues across the city. So yeah, I've got every confidence that we could close at 11 on those Fridays and Saturdays and ensure people dispersed orderly back to their homes or whatever without causing public nuisance around the venue. I think that's probably about it from me. So I'll hand over to Luke.
That's fair.
You've left me with not much else to say, to be honest. But both me and Nathan are sort of, Brighton boys, and we've invested quite a bit into the site, into making it, as everyone has sort of touched on, a community spot. We have been working with about 6 or 7 local businesses so far to help us bring this thing to life. So it's a real community-driven project that we're super excited to get going. And yeah, that's from making our own wine to making our own beer to 0% cocktails. We've been working with the guys down at Voya on a little sound system for the venue, and a local design interiors company as well to help sort of get furniture and stuff like that together. But yeah, we're really looking forward to bringing this all together and working with more people to bring it to life, basically. But yeah, I mean, Nathan's touched on the majority of the things there, so I hope that's enough from me.
Thanks very much, both of you. So now's the opportunity for panel members to ask questions of your representation. Ollie, would you like to go first?
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair. Thanks very much to the applicants for your representations. I've got a couple of questions. You mentioned something about the sort of the community-led element to this, and it's in the application, and you sort of talked about local suppliers, and that's great. Is anything more about sort of the community-led angle to it, or is it principally about sort of local supply chain? I'll wrap through a couple of questions if that's all right, and then you can come back. And could you say something about how you envisage the sort of table and chairs layout to be, sort of how many covers inside, and whether you're anticipating using parts of the pavement which is within the existing demise, or whether you might apply for a table and chairs license. Is there's nothing in the police conditions or your application about use of SIA staff at any point? Do you envisage that being a requirement, given where this is in town, close to the station and within the CIA?
I'm on mute. No, I'm not. If I go from the bottom, the SIA, I think based on our offering, it not essential, but however, it's not something we'd rule out. In all of my venues, I pay and are connected to the BCRP, so obviously use that kind of local support where possible, which we would definitely do as well. But I think based on the offering, which is a very, very stripped back, laid back kind of European cafe culture style, I could never envisage any issues with our customers that would require SIA. But appreciate that perhaps in the area or on certain days it may be necessary. And then obviously the connection to the BCRP. Table layout, again, would kind of hone into what we're trying to do. It's about creating sociable spaces, so a lot of low-level seating, few bench seating in the window for people who want to watch the world go by. Outside, we've got a small patch of the patio that is included within our red line, which again, there's probably going to be a couple of benches that sit along the window. Again, if you picture that kind of very Parisian style of people just sitting, leaning, with small little tables that's for their food and drinks. Everything is, no vertical drinking, so obviously everything is seated, and to encourage kind of that slow enjoyment of produce. And then I'll leave Luke to talk about the supply chain and some of the local community elements. Luke's driving a lot of that with our producers, so I think he'll be better placed to answer.
Yeah, so for example, on our beer and wine offering, we are working with a local winery based in Something called Titch Hill. They're going to be producing our house red and house white wine. I have a good relationship with them anyway, and we've sort of been in talks for a while about how we can bring a little sort of collaboration project together. So we are, again, for example, sort of taking barrels of their wine and kind of white labeling them to have our own labels. It's the same with the beer as well. For the opening, we're collaborating with a new brewery based in Worthing as well. They are, they're called As Intended, and they're a wicked little brewery that sort of started a few months ago. So we'll be doing some bits with them, and then another sort of arm of what we're doing is the kitchen side of stuff. So we'll be doing rotating monthly chefs. So for the first couple of months, we've got Ali Munro, who has been leading the kitchen at the Windmill Pub. He's going to be coming in the first month of opening. And then we've got a very good friend of mine, Jake, who's going to be coming down and doing some sort of classic French food. And then also, aside from that, on the road that my current bar is on, I've been working with designs, interior people to help bring to life some furniture and stuff like that. There's also a company around the corner called Gomi who do all sort of recycled plastic waste. So they're going to be producing sort of coasters, beer tap handles, stuff like that for us. And then the guys at Voya as well around the corner from us are helping us with our sort of speaker design and all of that kind of stuff. But we want to continue that and keep that momentum going with the community-led stuff. I think that's about.
Yeah, just one more thing, Ollie, that may that I guess knocks into more of the local community element. Pegs and Sons, which is a great independent clothing store. We're going to do a little feature with them if and when we open. And then what we're going to do is we're going to follow up with that in a few weeks, and we're going to host a kind of like Brighton independent creatives on the site. So this is going to be led by Pegs and Sons, and it's kind of I guess a new kind of angle and project that what they want to do is have a host space that brings together independents and creatives in Brighton. We'll host it at Patio. I imagine it'll be a little midweek, early, kind of 5 till 8. And then ideally, if the first one goes well, follow that on and do that monthly and try and create it as a bit of a, I guess at its core, it's just a networking event. But the idea is it brings together a few of these suppliers and creatives that Luke's just discussed, but also gives us an opportunity to meet more. Our city is filled with some incredibly creative people who I think for the most part, most people don't even know they're there. And you almost end up stumbling across them. So the aim, which as I said will be led by us and Pegs and Sons, is to try and create a space where these people can come together, collab, and ideally kind of grow from that. Gomi is probably a great example of it that Luke just mentioned. They make a lot of kind of household objects out of recycled plastic. And for years, I used to follow them on Instagram and never actually knew that they were in Brighton. I used to walk past their office, I believe, 5 times a week. So the idea is, people like that might actually have an opportunity to meet more people. And then in turn, we grow this independent creative opportunity out of just meeting and talking. And ideally, everyone then develops as a business and people.
Right. Chair, can I have a very quick follow-up?
Certainly.
It's more of an observation than a question, really. I think one of the applicants mentioned police restrictions on sales associated with provenance. I suspect they're not going to do that. I think my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Rebecca, is that they would restrict on the basis of strength, but I'm not aware of any sort of history of them being able to restrict on the basis of provenance. And that, as you said, Nathan, might be a concern for the panel in terms of future use should the licence change hands.
Yeah, so sorry if I perhaps said it wrong. When we had the consultation with Mark at the police, obviously the off-licence is a bit of a contentious subject. So we wrote in our own restrictions to say that as part of what we would offer as off-sales, wrote into only local suppliers up to a certain ABV, and then only the bottles of wine would only be the ones that we sell in-house, which would be via the glass, so probably about 8 bottles. And Mark's suggestion and consultation for that was, if we write these restrictions in, if in 2 years' time we, for whatever reason, had to leave the business and someone else came in, it would mean that whoever else came in wouldn't be able to just instantly flip it to an off-licence. So I guess it protects the future of the property and the licence for the panel and I guess the city. So yeah, it was really insightful from Mark, and we agreed that writing some of those restrictions in helps, I guess, fine-tune our offering, but also helps to protect the licence in the future and hopefully make it please everyone that it's a safer bet.
Okay, thanks. That's helpful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, all. Paul, would you like to come in?
Thanks, John. Excuse me. So, Nathan, in order to grant a licence in this area, we have to find an exceptional reason to do that. And I think in answering the questions to Ollie, you've kind of answered this question as well, but I'll say it, I'll ask it anyway. So your answer to the question, what is exceptional about this, is that you would sell largely home-produced alcohol there. And the majority of stuff that you would get in your establishment would be stuff that I couldn't just walk down the road and get from Tesco's. Is that a fair description?
Yeah, I'd say that's exactly correct. So from the aim of just this is not just alcohol. The previous operator in the site, Grocer and Grain, used to sell a lot of deli. So a lot of locally made breads, fruit and veg, kind of tinned fish and stuff like that. So our aim is, we've been speaking with a lot of kind of local bakeries and suppliers for that. And then I guess in terms of the alcohol, to be honest, our whole offering, both in for on sales or even off sales, is going to be local. All of our beers are from local breweries. All of the wine is from Southern England, or as I said, ideally as local as Worthing and Sompton. And then to further add those restrictions in, and I guess, to make it exceptional. For the off-sale side, we wrote in that the only beers that you'd be able to purchase for off-sales would be from local producers in the southeast of England. And then for the wine, it would be how we'll operate inside. There will be probably 8 to 10 bottles of wine that you can have by the glass. So I imagine it will be 2 whites, 2 reds, 2 rosé, 2 orange, 2 sparkling, say. And then those wines would then be the ones that, say, yourself could come in, and if you had a couple of glasses and really enjoyed, you would then be able to purchase one to take home. So it would just be a really, really minute offering for the off sales, both across those beer and the wine.
Thanks, Nathan. And one other quick question: in publicity, in your shop front, you won't advertise yourself as an off license, will you?
No. So our aim, first and foremost, is just to be a great space. And as I said, I've got a few hospitality businesses, and in the ideal world, everyone who would come and eat in and dine in, because when they do, they spend more. Which is obviously way better for business, right? So it's not something we're going to advertise, but it would be more, I'm a bit of a numbers man, and I just see it as, if I could sell 10 bottles of wine a week to someone like yourself who's came in and dined and had a few drinks, that might equate to 250 quid a week spread across a year. That it gives us a little cushion to, well, one, obviously ideally support the viability of the business, but two, it might mean, we can employ more staff, we can keep making improvements, and it just gives us that really kind of secondary revenue stream that just helps support what the overall aim is.
Brilliant.
I guess is the nicest way of putting it. That's okay.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, and I think Ollie and Paul, you've sort of covered any sort of questions I've had, so that's nothing further from me on that. So thank you, everyone. Sarah, have you got any questions you'd like to ask of the applicants?
No, thank you.
Oh, thanks, and James and Benjamin, have you got any questions you would like to ask?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, okay, so I think that moves us on to the closing summaries now. So at this stage, I'd like to remind everyone at this point, no one should be introducing any new information that hasn't already been raised as part of a representation. So we'll begin with Emily from the licensing authority.
Thank you, Chair. As we've heard, this is an application for a new premises licence for 1 Surrey Street. Licensing guidance states that in determining the application with a view to promoting the licensing objectives in the overall interests of the local community, the licensing authority must give appropriate weight to the steps that are appropriate to promote the licensing objectives, the representations including supporting information presented by all the parties, this guidance and its own statement of licensing policy. The question for the panel is whether they consider that the application is likely to add to the existing cumulative impact, or has the applicant demonstrated that their application will not have a negative impact. The licensing authority will always consider the circumstances of each case and whether there are exceptional circumstances to justify departing from its special policy in light of the individual circumstances of the case. After considering all the relevant issues, the licensing authority may grant the application subject to such conditions they feel are appropriate to meet the licensing objectives, and any imposed conditions should be clear, precise and enforceable. Alternatively, the licensing authority may refuse the application on the grounds that it is appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives against our statement of licensing policy, and or that the applicant has not provided exceptional circumstances. Thank you, Chair.
Lovely, thank you. Sarah, would you like to come in with your closing?
Thank you. Yeah, I'll keep it very brief. So I maintain my representation as a guardian of our statement of licensing policy and ask that the panel determine the outcome of this application and whether the applicant has demonstrated exceptional circumstances to depart from the policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Benjamin or James, would either of you like to present a closing summary?
I don't think it's anything more than what we've already said, but I just think that this is everything about this application. It just hits many different elements that the community in the local area would really benefit from. But I also think that you'd need all of those elements to really make it a really special community place as well.
Okay, thanks, Fair. Anything from yourself, Benjamin?
No, exactly as James says, yeah.
Thanks, Fair. And so finally, Nathan or Luke, have you got anything you'd like to raise as your closing summary?
Yeah, I could probably talk forever, as you all probably noticed. Yeah, I think, look, we're local boys, we're experienced operators. I've been doing this knocking on 8 years now. Got a passion for really trying to deliver just great hospitality in Brighton, and naturally would go out of our way to ensure that there is no public nuisance or disorderly behaviour, because yes, that dramatically impacts the residents around us, but it would also dramatically impact the business too. And as Luke touched on, we've spent quite a lot of money to try to bring this to life. So there is no reason why we'd want any of these things to happen after. So I hope we've got our case across well. And thanks everyone for their time.
Yeah, well, thanks, Fair. Anything you wish to add, Luke, or?
No, again, Nathan has hit it on the head. So that's perfect for me.
Thank you, there. I'd like to invite Rebecca. Have you got any closing comments as our legal advisor?
Nothing really to add, unless you've got any questions of me that you want to ask at this stage.
I haven't. Paul or Ollie, anything? No. Okay then. Fantastic. So the panel's now going to retire to make its decision. We're going to be accompanied by Rebecca, our legal advisor, and Frankie as the clerk to the panel, but they'll take no part in the decision-making process. The decision will be sent in writing within 5 working days with appeal rights attached. Thank you, everyone, for attending this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Thanks, Chair.
Bye.
Thanks very much. Have a nice day. Cheers.
Bye-bye.